let's start here. Real estate marketing hasn't always been known for creativity. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but in the last year or two, it feels like the content game has leveled up to a new ante. Agents are on TikTok, listings are being turned into narratives. We're seeing more personality breakthrough. What has changed since?
I think, exactly to your point, there's a lot more people who are inherently creative that started a little while ago, a couple years ago, pandemic happened and people had to adapt to a new, very digital world. Not that any of it was actually new, but it forced them to use the tools that were already out there to communicate in ways that they weren't communicating previously. So it's become something of a like there's realtor influencers in like this genre, and you see them when you go to these conferences, and it's kind of funny, but they're creatives at heart, and they're just doing something that they love doing, and it's inspiring other people to do the same thing. So I love to see it, and I love that the industry is going that way. But on the flip side, there's some people that are really good at making videos and making people laugh, but maybe they're not the most experienced or most knowledgeable realtor. So it's quite a balance to strike. And it's all about like the consumer has to still do their due diligence the same way that they've always done.
Yeah,
But I think it's fun, and I don't really see it being like nefarious in any way. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's good for the industry.
yeah. Because just on that, I feel like yeah, like maybe I'd say like 5, 6 years ago, a lot of these like more I guess traditional industries were looked at as just that, like a traditional industry that you couldn't like have fun with or you couldn't go a little crazy with. But now
Mm-hmm.
it's turned every industry into like, no, this can actually like there's more to it than what the eye sees. And like it's not as boring as you'd have it like in your mind. Like it's not it's I feel like the stereotypes are dead for a lot of these industries. And I
Yes.
think I think you see it with a lot of these like especially these like personalities. I don't know if this is like an accurate thing to say, but like everybody's trying to be like the socialite. Everybody's trying to be the, dare I say, Kim Kardashian of their industry.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, love it or hate it, I think it makes things a bit more fun. It makes people, it opens up to a whole new audience, and a lot of people that just never had a eye on that industry are now looking at it like, whoa, there's this whole other big whale that we don't. I don't know what
Yeah.
should I say, but
No,
really like
no, you're absolutely right. And what's really cool about it too is it kind of levels the playing field. Whereas
yeah,
before, like, especially in real estate, the traditional forms of advertising are so expensive now. Like print, billboards, out of home, that's so expensive in comparison to doing organic social media and then seeing what performs for you, seeing what you feel confident doing, and then just keeping on with that. Like do more of it and then learn how to do advertising, learn how to do that kind of thing. And those tools are so much more readily available and a lot easier to use than they used to be. So bringing it to the masses and making it something that people are actually is more easily accessible to people is
yeah,
not a bad thing. That's never going to be a bad thing.
no,
So I'm with you, and I
yeah,
really like that it's been able to do that.
yeah. And I think that like I do want to ask since you are in this industry, was there like a certain time that you saw that shift happen from like traditional to this new age media format that we go?
For me personally, like in my own experience, I really saw it early 2021.
Hmm.
It
Just after
was,
COVID.
yeah, like it was, what can people do? Because we're getting used to this new way of the world. And what can people do that is different? And, in my position, it's also about not getting left behind. So you want to be one of those people that's out there putting out content, doing new things, trying new things, experimenting. Because if you're not, then again, you're getting left behind, and you're gonna it's gonna be so much more work farther down the line to catch up.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that like the really interesting part about like the real estate industry in a holistic manner is that how I don't know if this is like an impossible question to answer, but how would you balance like the how do I say this? How do you balance pushing for like the crazy creative content while still maintaining like the professional side of the industry? Is
Yeah.
there a way?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that I kind of have to do most of the time.
Yeah,
Because the fun stuff is always going to perform well. Like
yeah,
it just does better. And you don't want to be too salesy. You don't want to be too pushy. There's always that like 80-20 rule of like 80% of your content is for the person that you're putting it out to see,
yeah,
and the other 20% is for yourself. But at the same time, there's also a way of integrating those two things in a way that feels a little bit more natural. And I think a lot more brands are doing that now in a way that's very creative. And I
yeah,
love to see it. It's really cool to be able to use these trends and then apply them to your niche and apply them to your market or your audience or whatever it is. And it doesn't feel forced. Like it doesn't feel like you're just watching a traditional ad. So I think that that's like it's really cool to see. People are so
yeah,
creative.
yeah. It's yeah. Is there are there any like red lines or any hard no's or something you've
Mm.
seen that you're like, oh, I wouldn't do that if I was you?
Yeah, okay, there's a really fine line to balance as well
Mhm.
between like if you market to everybody, you're marketing to nobody,
Yeah,
but you have to be able to say, okay, I know where I'm drawing my line in the sand in terms of what I believe personally and what I want people to know about me professionally.
yeah,
So I think that those are the lines that you don't cross. Like, if you are comfortable in your business and you're not looking for anybody else to be a client,
yeah,
then sure, draw all those lines as much as you want. Like people are out there and they're so successful doing that. But if you're somebody who's still trying to build your brand, build your business, whatever, I don't think that's the time to do it. Like
yeah,
be someone that other people can project themselves onto or relate to as much as possible. And if you start drawing those lines in the sand with like moral values or political values or any of those types of things, it becomes harder and harder for people to do that.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and I think the whole like I think the big shift that I've seen, especially with these with this new age format that we got, is that it stopped. Especially like the thing that you highlighted was it's not as salesy anymore. It's not as in your face anymore, and it's more just like telling a story. And it could be like the craziest story ever, but if it's done perfectly, it serves as a perfectly written ad. And I think
Yeah.
that like it's so hard to nail, but once you've got
Yeah.
that, I think like you just can't be beaten. Like, and I think
Yeah.
that spans across not just like a video, it could span across like a whole profile. So like, I mean,
Mhm.
like off the top of my head, the one that like, comes to mind and super obvious is like Duolingo. So like,
Yeah.
I like obviously they're unbeatable in content. Like they're just on
Yeah.
a whole other level,
Yeah.
and it's just this idea that they have this little corner of the internet like held down so tight that God, I mean, I don't know. Like if I want to learn a new language, that's the one person I go to. And
Hmm.
I wonder if you guys would think about it in the same way in your industry. Like, is the goal to be the first like platform to think of when I think real estate?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now, the way it works in Canada is a little bit different than anywhere else. So the main platform, realtor.ca, is the only platform, or sorry, I'm biased, but it is the platform that has the most active listings in Canada, like, period.
Yeah.
And it always has been because we cooperate with boards and associations across the country who share their listings with their local listing sites, and then that towers up. So it works in a way that's different from every other brand out there, but there's so many now that are newer that are fighting hard for market share and they want it badly and they're they're doing the things that we're talking about. They're doing the new content strategies. They're doing video. They're doing educational pieces that are meant to like sell without selling.
Yeah,
So it is becoming a lot more competitive in the space. And like, yeah, absolutely. You want to be that number one brand that people think of. And right now we are, knock on wood. But you have to remain competitive because it moves so fast.
for sure. So just on realtor.ca real quick, do you think
Mm-hmm.
like I'm trying to think. Okay, so with realtor.ca, are people more likely to trust the content from an individual agent or a national platform like realtor.ca, and how do you tackle that?
That's a really good question. So, typically, a lot of people, it's like anything, right? It's like influencers.
Yeah,
People trust influencers like they trust recommendations from their friends and family now.
yeah,
So, you can establish a personality like an influencer would, then you have a really good chance of being able to gain someone's trust. But at the same time, realtors do that really, really well.
yeah,
And that's why they're good at their jobs half the time is because they're so good with people and they're so good with bridging the gaps in knowledge between the client and the transaction of real estate. So it's something where it's awesome to see these people be able to put that together because
yeah,
we want that. We want reputation for realtors to be growing and being everything that it should be. And that honestly only does us benefit. Like, we don't compete with these people. We want these people to succeed. We want to support these people in every way, empower them to do better in their content or whatever it is, or give them the materials to do that. So I think it's kind of cool. Like, you can model a lot of this after influencers. Like, if you find someone you really like, and you resonate with them, and that person has a good chunk of your audience, use that as inspiration.
for sure. Yeah, I just thought of it now. I feel like real estate agents are the OG personal brands even before social media. Like, I
Yeah.
just that just keeps me now. I don't know if that's just like
Yeah.
an obvious thing, but yeah, I think that yeah, and like even like before everybody was on social media, like think like the billboards or like whatever, like their name is always as big as the property's address, and like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's so
It's
interesting.
kind of cool. No, it's really
Yeah,
cool. And like, I love when we get to the opportunity to work with people that have been in the industry for like 30 years and they're
yeah,
telling me about all these billboards and mail out campaigns. And I'm like,
yeah.
I've been around, but not 30 years. So